Will make the first centre pass. A smile from her, but she's got to be all nerves.
Well, the first World Championship for many of these Australian players. And what a game in front of this big crowd to play the reigning champs, New Zealand. Great opener from Wag.
Well, the nerves have really got to be tingling out there. That's a good settler for Katrina Wag.
Strong defence from the Australians. Nearly the held ball called against New Zealand. Mamiya Savage very quick to establish what's acceptable.
The umpires, of course, come from neutral territory. And the atmosphere here is really something special. A lot of Kiwis in the crowd. They've got about half the tickets, we reckon. Joan Hodson, the wing attack for New Zealand, is happy to continue. Sore finger, sore hand, but she's all right. Earl into Carter.
And Steve, it'll be very difficult for the players to hear the umpire's call, particularly in the pressure moments of the match. They'll really need to concentrate.
Tracy Earl yesterday shot 65%.
And a magnificent shot to open for New Zealand.
A minute gone, one apiece. Filkey call for the contact. Edge into Carter.
And the break to New Zealand. What a shot from Carter.
A lead of 2 coming if they can convert this possession. Earl.
And the pressure from the Australians on the transverse line. O'Donnell and Wag pressuring Tamanu, the New Zealand skipper.
Carter was out. Australia's ball. Keely Devry hurt an ankle yesterday. Couldn't play the final quarter. All right today, but devastation for Sue Kenny, the Australian vice-captain, unable to play with a foot injury. It's Australia level up at 2-all.
And Steve, that's an impressive opening from all 4 shooters, each of them able to put their first shot through cleanly. That's very good under the pressure of a World Championship final.
Wilson quick to pick up the spill.
And the goals running with the centres. Tracy Earl made her lead into Keely Devry. Australia with the penalty.
Dalwood, McInnes.
And there's not much space out there on court. Both teams having difficulty with a clear run.
Spare a thought for Shelley O'Donnell, the Australian wing attack, who came on under great pressure yesterday when Sue Kenny went off, but played a magic game.
She was very impressive given the pressure of that match against Jamaica. They lost nothing in the transition, but as you say, tragedy for Susie Kenny tonight.
Call against New Zealand gives Australia possession. McInnes, Filkey, O'Donnell. Dalwood.
They're not able to find their shooters easily. The 3-second call comes against Carissa Dalwood. New Zealand defence working overtime in that circle.
Dillamore, the New Zealand keeper, had to go and fetch it. Hodson.
Carter finding good space behind Filkey. Caught out of position at the top of the circle.
New Zealand ball, Earl to bring it in. The only lever yesterday came on to replace Carter. So Carter is under some pressure to fire in these first 2 quarters, 3 apiece.
Yes, Carter hauled after a 38% quarter against England. But the stronger combination for New Zealand is on court.
Wilson.
You saw then Vicky Wilson changing leads with Katrina Wag, so they vary their attack. The turnover to Australia.
Dalwood, O'Donnell, Wag had to get up. She's got a lot of elevation. The Australian shooters have a little bit of a height advantage over.
A couple of goals dropping short for Vicky Wilson. She can test the rebound, but Dillamore up there.
I was going to say height advantage over Tamanu, but not Dillamore, who's the tallest on court.
Well read, Michelle Filkey, but the toss called by Mamiya Savage, and the crowd doesn't like it.
Filkey and Hodson.
And it's a battle on the ground. Wag comes away with it.
Too much height. 2-on-1 on Wilson.
Well, the umpire's making an impression in the opening of this quarter.
Well, as long as they're consistent, the players can't ask for anything more. Carter.
And no Australians backing up the rebound for their circle defenders. New Zealand will get possession.
Edge, the vice-captain.
Contact on the ball against Devery.
Filkey caught by surprise. She was left out of the circle. Thought the call was going to go to Australia. 4 apiece. Australia's centre.
Nice
Wag.
turn from Wag.
Misunderstanding between O'Donnell and Wilson. And at the end of the day, one of those might be enough to decide the World Championship. Tamanu to Edge. 2 of the 3 New Zealand players who featured in Glasgow 4 years ago.
Earl drags it in for New Zealand.
And Earl was the other one.
Keely Devery again attracting attention from the umpire. I saw very little in the contest, but I guess I'm pro-Aussie.
New Zealand ball.
Another contact against Filkey. She's drawn several from Amir Savage. And that's a break. New Zealand with the centre have the chance to take it to a 2-goal split. Well, that's a brave move to go over Keely Devery, but they place it well. Won't drop for Earl. This time the penalty to Australia.
Yes, against Carter. Contact against on Filkey. McInnes. Dalwood. Wag.
Good hold from Dalwood. She saw the congestion in front of her.
Carissa Dalwood hit the deck. She ran over Shelley O'Donnell, actually.
Well, they had a smile about it. You'd expect it to come the other way.
Seven minutes gone. There's nothing in it.
Oh, great placement from Wilson. New Zealand caught napping, concentrating on Wag. Filkey with the ball for Australia. Along to Dalwood. She looks behind the play and finds Wilson on the baseline, undefended.
New Zealand looking to equalise.
I don't see that as a replay, but we've been critical of that ruling all championships. The break for Australia.
O'Donnell, Wilson.
And again, Australia making good use of the baseline.
Wilson shot 78% against Jamaica. They need her firing today.
And she's opened up with 6 from 8, so a good start from the Aussie shooter. Chance for her 7th. Great shot.
Australia with the biggest lead of the game. Don't expect it to last.
Devery will mark Earl to keep her away from the pass. Earl doing well to drag that one down between Filkey and Devery.
Well, Filkey and Devery are taller than Earl and Carter. So any rebounds that the New Zealand shooters get, you know they're really doing their job. Wag. Wag yesterday shot 77% against Jamaica. Pulled in by McInnes. Australia by 3 on the break. McInnes, dangerous lateral ball. Filkey, not allowed in that goal third.
Oh, well read, Dillamore. Great intercept for the New Zealand goalkeeper.
Carter to Edge.
And Carissa Dalwood has a huge job in her hands containing Edge, but she's doing well in this opening quarter.
Yes, as we've acknowledged more than once, Sandra Edge, regarded as the world's best centre. But Dalwood against Jamaica was one of the best on court. We could say that about 7 Australian players, I think. Wilson, back to O'Donnell. Dalwood and Wag.
Oh, well done to Manu. Lacked the height, but she got up to the ball. Tamanu drawing the penalty against Wilson. Pulled in well by Louisa Wall. It looked beyond her.
Hodgson back to Wall. Wall, the youngest player on court at 19.
And the defence is frantic from Australia. They're really working hard to shut down the Kiwis' space. Nice ball from Edge.
5.5 minutes to go, and the Kiwis bring it back to a difference of 1. 5.5 minutes left in the first quarter.
Well, irrespective of your loyalties, you have to appreciate this is a world's best netball on court.
Hodson looking for a way to Earl.
Back to the transverse line for the attack to reorganise. Edge with the ball.
Carter.
Equaliser.
Dalwood. These two teams evenly matched tonight and down through the years, back as far as 1948 and since. They've had 38 matches, the two countries. Australia's won 19, New Zealand 17.
And great defence from New Zealand as they hold up the Australian attack and eventually come away with the intercept.
The third stat in that match breakdown was 2 draws. Edge to Hodson.
Well, I guess that history could be closer, but let's hope it's not tonight for Australia's sake.
Tracy Earl.
Pressure shot from Earl. Takes the Kiwis to a 1-goal lead, and the centre gives them the chance to make it 2.
Hodson, Carter, and Earl.
Drops short. No, just makes it. Centre being cleared so that the centre pass can be retaken.
New Zealand timing their first quarter run nicely. Under 4 minutes left in this term. New Zealand by 2. Into the corner for Dalwood and back to Wilson.
Wilson finding that space on the baseline behind the zone.
McInnes. You don't get many intercepts from Edge. They better treasure it. Against Dillamore.
Tamanu caught in a 2-on-1. They'll find Wag easily on the baseline.
Back come Australia, 11 apiece. 3 minutes left, first quarter.
Well, the Aussie crowd loving it. I know there's a little redhead in my house with a homemade streamers who's been told to cheer on every Aussie goal. She hasn't mastered Aussie, but she knows when they score.
Wilson.
Drop short. The touch from Dillamore, but Dalwood's there.
Wilson again. Australia back in the lead. Australia by 1, 2.5 minutes to go first quarter. Straight to Carter. She should equalise.
And Steve, if this is first quarter is any indication of the game ahead, you'd be a brave person to predict the outcome.
We'll all be hoarse in 45 minutes. Filkey. Dalwood.
Well, they say when you watch, you play everyone's position.
Wag. Lost sight of it. Well, it wasn't well directed.
A couple of times that press from New Zealand has caught Australia with a misfeed.
Filkey and Carter to have the toss-up. Naomi Savage to set it.
They're both quick on the toss. I'd hate to predict it.
McInnes.
And hasn't she been strong for
yes.
Australia? She's been our pick as best on court a couple of times, and what an opening from her. Often the bridesmaid sitting on the bench for Australia, but she's come through these championships beautifully.
New Zealand defence again solid around the circle. Wag from a long way. Dillamore from the back. Tamanu to take the pass mid-court.
And takes her time collecting the ball to settle her team. They'll be aware the clock's counting down. Important perhaps to come off the first quarter with the lead.
Filkey the intercept. McInnes.
And Louisa Wall runs at it.
Crowd doesn't like the call. Thought Filkey was should have got the free pass.
And that call was up to Mamiya Savage. It was in her half of the court. All Redpath could do was acknowledge the throw-in.
Crucial call goes against Australia, a minute out from quarter time. Wall to Carter. Earl.
It was a good hold from Keely Devry, but still she draws the obstruction call.
And New Zealand out by 2.
They'll be working overtime to shut down Australia so that they can't drag one back before the break. Wilson out of the circle. Wag trying to draw space. Oh, and a bad contact against Tamanu, mistiming it.
It was unintentional. The timekeeper's up. Wilson. They'll be glad they got that one.
Darwood rushes it back in the hopes New Zealand will take the centre. Edge throws it away. Be interesting to see whether time was up before the release.
An absorbing first quarter. The lead swapped a number of times. It's everything we hoped for. And at quarter time, Australia 13, New Zealand 4. They're set for the second quarter. There are the stats, Anne, and New Zealand through Earl, slightly the stronger in shooting.
Yes, but you couldn't really fault any of the shooters on court. If you're getting up to the mid-70s or over in a match of this pressure, you'd be very pleased. Wilson, 10 from 13. She's taken most responsibility for Australia. And as you said, Tracy Earl, a very impressive 9 from 11.
New Zealand have put up 18 attempts to Australia's 17, and they lead by 1, so it's reasonably logical.
And I was worried Mamiya Savage was going to call mishandling, as we've seen her call before, but the contact on the ball went in favour of Australia. Wilson the chance to equalise. And that was against New Zealand's centre, so Australia with the chance to take it to a 1-goal lead.
O'Donnell. Wilson. Dillimore in front of her.
Darwood to Wag. She'll find O'Donnell, who pulls it in well at the top of the circle. She places it behind Wilson, but she manages to drag it in, and another one on the board for Wilson.
It's at the other end with New Zealand. Tracy Earl. Keely Devery must step out of play. 15 apiece. Touch over a minute gone, second quarter.
And once again, we see this game pretty well running with centre possession.
Two defenders are getting hands on it every now and again. Nearly held ball by Wilson.
I agree, very close, but it's one on the board. You can see Joyce Brown screaming at a team to keep moving. There's nothing worse when the press comes out if you start to stand on it.
A call went against Julie Carter. Australia need to convert this possession for a lead of 2. Wag, Dalwood, O'Donnell.
Contact against Wilson. She doesn't like the call, nor does the crowd.
This time against O'Donnell. Waitamanu takes it. Down to Hodson. O'Donnell. Wilson. Great ball from O'Donnell across to Dalwood.
Dillimore forcing Wilson wide, but she doesn't mind the long shot. She won't get a chance, so Wag out of play. Dillimore with the outlet for New Zealand.
A call went against Wag. Hodson.
Contact wing attack, penalty New Zealand.
So here's the possible break for New Zealand. Is their skipper, Waitamanu, perhaps playing her last game for New Zealand.
Yes, I asked her about that, Steve. She said she'd rather the focus be on the game than her. I think that's a sign of a great skipper.
Well, she's talked fairly freely about retiring after these World Championships. McInnes, O'Donnell.
O'Donnell moving well through the zone.
Wilson.
And again, the Kiwis focusing on the front shooter. Wilson finding space on that baseline. McInnes onto O'Donnell. Wilson. Wag across to O'Donnell. She finds Wilson uncontested on the base.
Carter has equalised at the other end, 17 apiece.
Steve, I'm beginning to think we won't see more than a goal separate these two teams all match.
Australia by 1. 4 minutes gone, second quarter. There isn't a spare seat in the house, I can tell you. The scalpers were outside before the game, doing a roaring trade. Tamanu.
Oh, keeps it running, but Darwood's there.
McInnes, O'Donnell. Through to Dalwood. Wilson, jump well. Unattended at the post. Australia by 2. She loved that pass.
And look for this pass from Dalwood. She looks to the back, finds Wilson.
Call went against Wilson. Filkey hit the deck, but I think it might go against her.
No.
It does.
She virtually placed herself where Edge had to land. That's read as forcing a contact. Just unlucky timing for the Australian captain. Also, Edge's speed, very deceptive. And that contact from the back position will go against Devry. Earl with a chance. She equalises.
5 minutes gone, second quarter. Still nothing between these teams. Dalwood can't believe she threw it straight out.
She hugs the hair. She'll work hard in defence now to get that one back for the Aussies. O'Donnell tries. McInnes tries, but the positions from behind are very difficult to come away with. They usually draw attention from the umpire. Carter with a pressure shot. Oh!
New Zealand hit the front. Straight to Keely Devry.
Well, badly misread Earl's move, but Devry doesn't care. She'll have that one.
McInnes. Everybody's got to be running because the defenders are working so hard.
New Zealand will want to close off the base a little more. They've been found too high when they've been playing off the player.
Rebound from Dillimore.
And she's the height in the circle, so if there's going to be a miss, expect to see her up there on the rebound. Toss between the two centres.
Edge and Dalwood.
Oh, good
Edge won
hands
it,
from
but
Edge,
only to Ag.
Oh, that was a quick-held ball. I didn't get a chance to look to see where the outlet was going to be.
The game is fast, but not that fast.
I think that happens as the game gets faster and faster, so does the umpire's whistle.
O'Donnell.
Chance to rectify it now, Australia.
Wag takes the one step in. That'll miss.
They're never on target. Dillimore, though, caught out, top of the circle.
Against Dillimore, so Dalwood.
She'll take the safe front option. Wilson makes sure.
20 apiece. 7 minutes gone, second quarter. Wag to Wilson. Might shoot from there. And she contacts Dillimore. Dillimore 187 centimetres. Touch taller than Wilson. Tamanu doesn't handle cleanly. Wilson away from Dillimore.
It's a safe bet.
Dillimore's taller, Wilson's quicker. Edge played it off a foot. She's got a brother in the New Zealand soccer team. Carter against Dalwood. Hodgson to take it.
Hodgson trying to clear space so she can take the penalty. I think she means contact wing defence. But New Zealand will take it anyway.
Take it. Yeah, so confusion in the call sometimes. I think Sheila Redpath calls that way.
Yeah, it's not the norm.
New Zealand bench. Lynn Parker there. Beside her was the Silverhead manager, Monica Leggett.
I hope you haven't got that Kiwi pin on that you scored the other day for a missed call.
I took it off. I was only made to wear it for a day. Wilson. Six and a half minutes left, second quarter. Hodgson cleans up. Lewissa Wall. Tamanu. Earl.
Well, nobody coming onto the ball. Now they find Earl. Carter puts up the hold. Oh, well done, McInnes. Sensational stuff.
Away come the Australians. Fast break, Wilson.
Great stuff, Australia.
They needed to be merciless and were.
Watch the brilliance of McInnes onto the ball, juggles it, hauls it in for Filkey in the fast break from Australia. They won't stop this passage.
It's with Dalwood in the corner. Wilson, Wag. Must be against Tamanu. Hit the forearm of Katrina Wag. Offloads to Wilson. Australia by 3. Their biggest margin of this quarter. And there are 5.5 minutes left till half-time. Oh, Dalwood got up.
Well, she tried to get there, but I think she might have climbed Edge's back a touch on the way.
Yeah, it would have been a lovely mark.
Yes. You can't fault the effort, though, out there.
From either team. This is 100% stuff. Carter.
Pressure shot for Carter.
Well, nobody's letting their teams down, Anne. I think everyone's playing to their potential. This is a real test of just how good the teams are.
Well, this would go down as one of the best ever matches of netball anybody's ever likely to see. The crowd's certainly getting their money's worth.
Dillamore the rebound from front position. Had to be. Wall, Tamanu.
She'll stop and settle the New Zealand attack. Obstruction called against Shelley O'Donnell. Louisa Wall will take the penalty for New Zealand.
Contact penalty, New Zealand.
And just incredible pressure in defence from both teams. There is not one uncontested pass.
Tracy Earl.
Flawless shooting from the New Zealand duo. 6 straight for Earl, 4 straight for Carter.
Against McInnes, New Zealand with possession here can equalise.
And again, Tamanu making use of the time as a settler. She'll come away from Wags to clear the arms. Good pressure from Katrina Wag.
And good call by the umpires there.
Devry trying to fake the held. Oh, good shooting, Tracy Earl. 6 straight. You see Devry experimenting with whether to lean or jump. She sat back off that one, trying to force the held ball and then get up at it.
Wag, O'Donnell.
The baseline from Wilson. Dillamore again caught lacking on that back move.
O'Donnell had eyes in the back of the head. She was running away from Wilson, but she knew where to send the pass.
And watch New Zealand suspect again on the baseline. Dillamore caught lacking on the back move. Great ball, O'Donnell.
McInnes, meanwhile, has made another invaluable intercept for Australia. Here she is again. Melbourne player.
Oh, Dillamore.
Oh, it's gone against Wilson.
Wilson doesn't even step up to the mark. She can't believe it.
Edge. Carter.
She'll play it around to get closer space.
Contact penalty, New Zealand.
Tracy Earl flying off the back court, but she's on now, and with the shot. First miss for her in the quarter.
So a turnover each. And Australia by 1.
Oh, held ball call.
It had to be held because O'Donnell had fallen over in the centre third.
Contact keeper, pass or shot.
It's against Devry in the circle.
She's still marking the ball. Now she hears very difficult for them to hear the umpire's call.
Contact or defence.
You think Filkey isn't giving 100%? She knows this new floor quite well. Two minutes to go to half-time. Against Tamanu. McInnes comes up to take it.
Australia with the 2-on-1 advantage in the circle. They'll be quick to get it in. They've lost the advantage now, but O'Donnell will find Wilson.
I suggest anyone with a weak heart leave right now. Hodson. Edge.
I don't know how Hodson found Edge at the top of the circle, but that was well played.
New Zealand.
Hodson, a former captain of the New Zealand touch football team. Devry to Filkey to Dalwood.
Wilson Wall reads it.
Yes, against Wall.
It was worth the go from Wall, but the timing not there.
1:20 left in this
Help
second
ball.
quarter.
Well, the pressure is just incredible from both teams. I think we've seen one fast break play the whole game.
Earl.
Good
Cross
ball
to
to
Edge. Keeps it in.
Contact attack, penalty
Contact call against Carter. Devry will take the penalty for Australia. Under a minute. Australia trying to make it to the lead, but it's through Filkey's hands.
Got it back. Oh. O'Donnell, what an effort.
I couldn't see anybody within Kui that could get to that one.
She swooped on it. Tamanu put the hand out, mishandled, but they get it back.
New Zealand will be
it's
steady.
time for the equaliser. Earl, under pressure, doesn't miss. I hope they're watching the clock, Australia. Maybe 30 seconds left. Wilson. Well, now the Australians have got to try and defend, because a goal for New Zealand here would give them the lead at half-time. They don't want that to happen.
Tamanu looks to the circle, too long. Contact against the defence. It's exactly what Tamanu was looking for to draw the penalty. New Zealand will take it in half-time. She has to wait for time to be called in. Earl with the pressure shot. Yes!
And there is half-time, so what a pressure goal for New Zealand. Well, I don't know how both these teams can keep up the pace, but what a match we've got on our hands. And at half-time, it's New Zealand 27, Australia 26. Underway, third quarter.
And what a quarter from Carter, although not involved with most of the shooting, 100%. Good given the pressure. Tracy Earl very much on target for New Zealand with 9 from 11. They're the high scorers. Australia 12 from 16 for Wilson. Wag not entering that quarter very much in a shooting role, 1 from 2.
Held ball against New Zealand this time, and Rosalie Jenke, the new player on court, to bring it in to Filkey. Tough on Jenke to slip straight in halfway through a championship final.
Contact against Filkey. Interesting, it's difficult to read that switch with Devry. You have to either think that Joyce Brown thinks it can be a little more closed back in the circle, or perhaps the injury bothering Devry. Very difficult to tell from a commentary box.
Rosalie Jenke not quite as tall as Devry as the long bomb sinks, and it's New Zealand by 2. Australia's centre pass, though, Dalwood.
McInnes with the ball. Struggling to find an Australian in free space.
Wilson. The whistle wall gave Dalwood the tiniest of nudges, but picked up by Sheila Redpath. Wilson.
Drags one back.
He'd be a coach on a day like today.
No, Joyce Brown and Lynn Parker can have this one.
Tamanu.
And Steve, it's not even a matter of months of preparation. Both countries would have been looking at this since 1987, developing players. A culmination of a 4-year period.
Tracy Earl.
Gives it a shake to get Jenke up in the air.
New Zealand by 2. 2 minutes gone, third quarter. O'Donnell.
She hesitates in putting it to Wilson. There's a lot of congestion at the front of the circle. Dillamore nearly with the intercept.
Lucky for Australia, it came off her hands. Wilson had stepped out of the way. It was misread by the Australian attack, but Wag.
Advantage goal will be called. Good take by Carter off balance.
Edge. Dangerous ball to offer up to Earl when Jenke and Earl are the same height, but Jenke gave away the contact. Out it comes, Filkey. Australia's ball. Interesting call.
New Zealand delegation screaming their support for the Kiwis, the Silver Ferns.
Jenke did well, under pressure from Earl. Dalwood, McInnes, O'Donnell.
And contact again against Filkey in back play. She's drawn a fair bit of attention from Amir Savage. Wag will get hands over the ball to try and hold up the feed, but up it goes. The screen offered by Carter for Earl.
New Zealand by 2. Wag.
Wilson again trying to draw the back space, but Dillamore does well. Oh, I couldn't read that call.
That's a tough call on Dillimore. Looked like she was going to win that intercept fairly.
In trying to be fair, I thought she had front position and then just tried to hold space. But I won't query another Aussie goal. Jenke tries to get a hand around, but she's from back space. Doesn't seem to be happening from the back position for these umpires. Oh, the drop over the top to Carter, who held well on Filkey.
New Zealand by 2.
Well, New Zealand have had this 2-goal buffer zone for about 4 or 5 minutes now, Steve.
It's got to be a worry for the Australians. Filkey, Dalwood in space.
I think this game's going to come down to the last 30 seconds.
Long jump from Wag.
Quick hands, good combination between the Australian shooters.
Wag, an athlete in her own right. Must have leapt for about 3 metres there.
And we'll see the drive from Katrina Wag. She hits the circle and quick hands. She'll find Wilson under the post holding good position. And Jenke not enjoying a good introduction.
Oh, New Zealand still by 2. I'm sure Lynn Parker's breathing a sigh of relief that Carter and Earl are firing today when at times against England they were flat.
Well, Leonie Lever untested in this sort of class. And look for it. What a brilliant pass from Darwood. The bullet into Wilson. And again, Michelle Filkey examining the Tassie Oak floor.
She's not getting any joy from Marmia Savage. New Zealand by 2. 9 minutes to go, third quarter.
And I don't think I'd be wrong in saying the Australian defenders would be relieved that they play the last quarter up the other end of the paddock.
Carter.
Earl holding space, doesn't need to. Carter drops it in. Only one miss between the New Zealand shooters for this quarter. Oh, good
New Zealand
challenge, Wag.
looking for a lead of 4 here. Edge.
Again, encircling the contact against Jenke, trying to get around that from that back position to front. That's the 4.
It's a crucial lead for New Zealand. Plenty of time in the match, though. Wilson, Wag.
O'Donnell will retake it. Wilson gets front position. The lean will come over the shot.
The pressure will start to build on the Australian shooters as they get fewer opportunities.
Not a good ball to Edge, but Darwood swipes it nonetheless.
Wilson outside the circle. O'Donnell. Now Wilson makes her way in. Bad miss. Tamanu.
And Steve, you're very right. Despite the 3-goal margin, New Zealand would be mad to start opening the champagne now. Very long way to go. We've seen both teams be able to haul back the 3-goal deficit. Oh, turned against them.
So Wilson winning out there from Louisa Wall.
Great shot, Vicky Wilson.
Australia's centre pass, so they can bring it back to 1 here. Filkey into Wilson.
And how must Sharon Finnan feel sitting on the bench for Australia? Dragged in for this last match. The Australians worried about injuries in camp.
New Zealand by 1, midway through this third quarter.
So put the cork back in the champagne. The Aussies are coming back. Keeps it in, the backup from Dillimore. Wilson wants to have a go.
Ball goes against Wilson.
Well, it's enthusiasm, though not control.
Tamanu.
Oh, McInnes, it's footwork. Unfortunate. It was a brilliant piece of work from the Australian wing defence.
Savage, correct that time. Earl.
The penalty advanced. Earl with the shot.
Dalwood centre pass for Australia. Filkey. Every pass is under pressure. McInnes. This is mentally and physically exhausting too for the players.
And Steve, you'd be flat out trying to pick which team has dominated through the match.
advantage.
Oh, well read, Tamanu.
Contact centre. Contact centre.
So if New Zealand convert this possession,
Contact centre.
Darwood's got to come back to stand beside Dillamore.
And Steve, I've been quite optimistic that the speed of the Australian attack would leave New Zealand defenders with their heads turning, but we haven't seen any evidence of it.
Second attempt for Tracy Earl. Jenke goes up too early. New Zealand by 3 again, and it's their centre pass. 5 minutes 50 left, third quarter.
An obstruction, despite Hodson stepping into McInnes. Off the hands of Filkey. Carter will take the throw in.
Julie Carter from the goal line for New Zealand. Sandra Edge. Earl fell, nothing given. Against McInnes, though. Filkey swats it away. New Zealand from the side.
One of the few back position attempts that Mamiya Savage has let go during this game.
It's stop-start stuff.
Filkey out. There's 2 Kiwi shooters in the circle and only Jenke, but a bad feed. One of the rare ones for New Zealand, but timely.
2 on 1 wasted by the Kiwis. 5 minutes left, third term. McInnes. Well, close to a held ball. O'Donnell, Wag. Dalwood, the Australian attack really starting to struggle to find their support. Wilson.
Great work, Wilson. She leapt from the top of the circle to within good range. And an Australian centre. Well, work to bring it within 1. Looking for Wilson all the time, the Australians. She's a powerhouse in the circle for Australia.
Wilson, marked by Tamanu. Long way from goal.
And Tamanu found holding space for the rebound. Difficult call against her.
Wag. The lead is 1 for New Zealand. 4 minutes to go. Third quarter. Hodson. Lewissa Wall. Tracy Earl. Sandra Edge in the corner.
Obstruction against Darwood. Sandra Edge shifting her out of play. Had to come against Filkey.
Earl in great position.
Well, who's going to crack first? Maybe you and I, not them. I don't see any of them cracking. It's a great display. Oh, yes, Wag under the post. New Zealand caught up top.
Well, we talk about who's going to crack, and I was most impressed with the mental toughness of the Australians in that bruising game against Jamaica. And New Zealand, when they got stuck in that second quarter, did go on with a job third and fourth. I think both coaches and both teams have to be given credit for their mental preparation.
Well, these 2 teams regarded as the most professional performing teams in the international world of netball. I don't refer to money, I refer to attitude and application and dedication, all those things that make for a world champion. And both these teams worthy of that title.
Tamanu from the back gave away the contact. Wag can step in. Wilson was putting on the Dodgers.
Well, they drag it back to 1, but Australia have been chasing. And Wilson with the dodge, well, the feet didn't move, but the shoulders shrugged a lot. Nevertheless effective, and she finishes off. Australia, though, have been in chase position all quarter. New Zealand have had the lead, and it hasn't shifted.
Straight to Rosalie Jenke. Australia must convert possession with just a couple of minutes to go to three-quarter time. Dalwood. O'Donnell. Wilson through her legs.
Touch from Dillamore, pressure from Tamanu, and Wall picks up the crumbs.
So a wasted turnover from Australia's point of view. Hodson.
Again, you can see Tamanu deliberately holding up play to give her team a chance to settle, draw breath, trying to keep a very composed performance from the New Zealanders.
Dalwood centre pass. Wag. O'Donnell. Oh, she was too slow to read that Wilson was unattended at the post. Doesn't matter. Well, they took the long way there.
And watch the Australian hands. O'Donnell just a little slow to see Wilson free, but quick hands from Dalwood and Wag onto Wilson.
New Zealand possession. Earl.
You almost start to think that it's going to go in automatically. You don't even assume from Earl or Wilson at the moment that there could be a miss.
Dalwood. Filkey. Wag. There's a minute left in this quarter. It's New Zealand by 2.
And they force the back play to reorganise. Now they find Wag onto Wilson. Good work, Australia.
Edge. Against Lewis a wall. Here's the one Australia needs with a minute to go to three-quarter time. They would love to equalise. A big boost for them when they go to the 3-minute break. Wag. Wilson. No.
New Zealand.
And we'll see New Zealand steady. Possession will be important. They won't want to turn it over with under a minute left. They'll want to protect that lead. They find Dillamore nearly 3 seconds against Tamanu. The Australians frantic in defence.
Hodgson. Straight to Filkey.
No, contact. 10 seconds left on the clock. Contact against Simone McInnes.
The Australians trying to slow it down. The timekeeper's up. They don't want New Zealand to score another, and they don't. Three-quarter time is blown by Sheila Redpath. Well, at every break, it's been a one-goal game, but at every break, it's been the Kiwis who've been up. So it all comes down to the final 15 minutes at three-quarter time. It's New Zealand 41. New Zealand leads by 1.
Yes, Australia with 100% in Katrina Wag, but it's Vicky Wilson steady under the pressure for Australia that's taken command with 10 from 14. New Zealand's shooting stats impeccable. 9 from 10 from Tracy Earl. 100% from Carter once again.
Australia's drawn level in the first 30 seconds of the final quarter. Tamanu, Edge. Earl, sorry, and then it was Edge. Hodgson to Edge.
Well, Steve, it's very rare, even between these two countries, that the game would stay goal for this length of time.
Certainly, I can tell you there hasn't been a game like this through the early rounds. We've saved the best till last. Earl. A miss. Jenke got the rebound.
And we've talked about the pressure of the match, but this is pressure. These are the shots that have to go in for both teams.
O'Donnell. Well, Australia's been unable to convert turnovers. Oh, Dalwood.
Well, she was put under pressure.
Wasn't a great pass. And again, the opportunity slips through the Australian fingers.
Long ball to Lewis Wall. That was a dangerous pass.
Dillamore.
Hodgson deep.
Carter. Hodgson. Earl can't shoot from out there. Neither can Carter. Now they're in.
Hodgson steps on.
The Australian crowd trying to lift their team as Earl puts New Zealand one ahead. Australia's centre pass. 13 minutes to go. New Zealand by 1. O'Donnell.
And a lot of use of elbows from both players in that circle. And the encouraging thing at the moment is, although New Zealand have the 1-goal lead, Australia are getting the centre back and the opportunity to equalise.
Equalise they have. Edge to Hodgson. Carter. Oh, I thought Earl was open.
Contact against Carter. Filkey draws a penalty.
Once more, Australia has a chance to do something with this turnover. Wag. Wilson double-teamed. Nothing there. Dalwood into the corner to Wilson. Long way from goal. Tamanu
yes!
marking. Australia hits the lead.
And they broke New Zealand's centre. This gives them the chance to go the 2.
Long way from home. 12 minutes to go. Dalwood, O'Donnell. Oh. Wilson very happy to see that go out off Lewissa Wall's hands. It's Australia's ball from the side through Shelley O'Donnell. I don't know, I don't think you can commentate not watching, but it's going to be hard to watch the last couple of minutes. Oh, nearly a turnover. Wilson. No.
Well, Tamanu got up there. Yes, the penalty will go to her. New Zealand now chasing the equaliser. Good touch from McInnes.
Crucial. Australia with it back. O'Donnell on her own.
The backdrop from Wilson, but Dillamore reads it. Stepping. Well, these errors won't help Australia's cause. New Zealand now desperate to equalise. Oh, taken by Earl.
Tracy Earl. 43s.
And now it will run with the centres. 43 apiece.
Tamanu. Hodson. Against O'Donnell. It's this type of game where at the end of the day you say it's cruel that you have a champion because there's been nothing between them all day. All tournament, both undefeated. Carter.
And Edge confident, walked away from the shot.
Ten minutes 40 to go.
No
McInnes.
room for errors now. A contest from Hodson, but she'll draw the penalty.
McInnes to take it. Filkey, Dalwood, Wag benches out of the side of the circle. Cross to O'Donnell. Wilson doesn't let them down. And you've been watching netball for a long time and playing. Have you ever seen a game like this?
I've been in a couple like this myself, but I still have a great deal of sympathy for the girls. The pressure just hasn't let off, and it is one of the best games you're ever likely to see.
Dalwood and Edge, the toss-up. Well, McInnes did win the contact from behind this time. O'Donnell, Wilson, Wag can't break to the post.
Important now for Australia to have speed, but not to rush. Two different things for the Aussies.
Wilson,
yes!
the lead. Australians in the crowd jumping to their feet with every Australian goal. The Kiwis in the crowd doing likewise, and it's pretty even between them, I can tell you. About 5,000 of each. Wag, Wilson. Australia by 2.
Well, enjoy here the shot from Wilson. Pressure shot, long range, but it's in for Australia.
Carter in handy position.
And for the first time, New Zealand in chase position.
Lynn Parker, Tanya Cox there. Dalwood retreats to Filkey.
Contact against Katrina Wag. The turnover for New Zealand. Tamanu pleads with her team to steady.
Off Jenke, I think. It was indeed Hodson.
Filkey, an enviable position.
Marking 2.
All tied up.
It's 8 minutes to go. New Zealand in possession. It's a tied game.
You know, Steve, I have the sick feeling in my stomach. It could well be the person who has the centre when the time is up and can put it through so much as it going centre for centre.
Another turnover. Filkey, lateral pass was asking for trouble. McInnes, Wag, numbers down court for Australia.
Oh, I was going to say it was read by Dillamore, but the contact comes against Wilson. There really is no luck going with either team. They're having to work for it. Hodson hauls it in. Carter.
What a pass from Hodson. When you look back on this final quarter, that effort from Hodson might be a match winner. Earl.
Closer penalty, closer shot. Earl takes it to 1. Time call.
Just a shoelace for Michelle Filkey.
Probably both teams are enjoying the second to settle, compose themselves.
Dalwood steps into the circle, and away we go. Halfway through the final term. That means 7.5 minutes left. It's New Zealand by 1, but Australia with the ball. Wag.
Good move from Wilson. Well, one of the rare misses from her, but she'll have a second chance to make good. This one in for Australia.
47 apiece, 7 minutes left, and...
Steve, perhaps we should have a chat about what happens if it's a tied game.
That's the point I was about to ask you about. Would you like to run through it as New Zealand make it 48-47, because it's a little bit complicated?
I don't know that I have the energy for it, but should the score be tied, both teams will play 5 minutes each way extra time. They have the right to appeal for a minute for substitutions. Otherwise, they go straight into the first 5 minutes. They change ends after 5 minutes to play the second 5 minutes. If it should still be tied, time won't be called. They'll play on, and the first goal scored will win.
It's cruel, but that's the system.
Well, if it keeps going tied, teams need to be aware when that last lot of time is called.
Carter. At the start of the game, we were reluctant to make a prediction. I'm glad we didn't. Edge.
Oh, great feed from Edge. Carter won't move. She doesn't want to draw a penalty. Doesn't need to.
A worried Australian bench, but don't think New Zealand feels any better.
And I guess it's because I'm a shooter, but spare a thought for them. Only one miss to each team in the pressure of this final quarter.
Oh, Wilson.
Make it 2.
5.5 minutes to go, and that miss presents New Zealand with a chance to take a little bit of a hole.
And they'll be very steady with this ball.
Yes, Wall wrapping 2 hands around it.
Up goes McInnes. Offside call against her. Can't blame her. She was miles off the ground.
Carter.
Good touch from McInnes.
Filkey. They're a bit bunched, the Australians. They need to spread. Wag. Wilson. Wag.
She'll want to offload.
49 apiece, but New Zealand sent a pass. Sandra Edge. 4 minutes 50 to go. Can you bear it?
Oh, nice play, New Zealand. Beautiful passage from the reigning world champs.
There's not going to be more than 1 or 2 goals in it. What a climax. New Zealand won this in 1987 in Glasgow for only the second time outright. The other time they won it was also in Australia, in Perth in 1967.
And a costly miss for Wilson. The Kiwis come away with it through Edge.
Against Dalwood. Hodson to Carter. New Zealand by 2.
Well, Carter's only put 4 up, but she hasn't missed any either. The Kiwi crowd coming alive. They sense it's turning to New Zealand. Well, Carter thought she'd set up for a penalty then. Redpath won't be tricked. Australia throw in.
Australia must convert this to have a chance.
Oh, Dillamore!
Saw it coming, couldn't keep it in. O'Donnell, 3 minutes 40 to go. Australia's down by 2.
Well, I knew she had the height. I was a bit sus that she was lacking the mobility. I'll never say it again.
Wag. Thought there might have been a call on that. Dillamore too close.
And with a Kiwi centre, it's becoming quite dangerous for us. Sorry, Australian centre.
Everybody out of the centre third, please, says Marmia Savage. It's Australia's ball. Wag.
And time could well be the enemy of Australia as they chase the 1-goal lead.
Wilson. Well, Wilson, almost a smile there. How can she? It's 51 apiece, under 3 minutes left. New Zealand still with their noses in front because they have possession. It's difficult to say it as an Australian, but as a commentator you have to say that it's almost unfair if New Zealand doesn't win because they've been in front for more of the game. Australia, though, with a turnover. Wilson against Dillamore.
They can hit the front with this shot.
Yes.
Center.
It's unbearable. In all my years in sport, I've not seen a game like this in any code. Wilson.
Oh, she spills it. She was on full strength, had nothing else left in her. New Zealand.
There are 2 minutes left. If New Zealand convert, it's their centre pass. Edge.
Edge will look to control it. Oh no, another misfeed. Carter under pressure.
New Zealand will mount the full court defensive effort. Filkey. Australia have hit the lead at the right time. O'Donnell, Wag, Wilson. They can lead by 2. Wag, they're not in a hurry. 1.5 minutes to go.
Offside, it goes to Australia, yes!
Filkey, 1:12 left. Wag.
Now against them, the turnovers are frantic. New Zealand
to wall. 1:03. Carter looking for Earl. She's out of the circle. Can't shoot yet.
Contact. New Zealand throw in.
Well, lost track a little bit. It's under 1 minute, and that's where the clock stops.
Contact, it's a penalty, the chance to make it 1 down. Well, they're wasting time. The penalty will be useful, but as far as I can remember, an Australian centre from this.
It is.
Well, the Australians will take their time.
30 seconds to go. They're not in a hurry. Australia leads 53-52. They just want to play it around. There's no shot clock.
Intercept to Manu. What an intercept. And Jenke puts it. Oh, she keeps it for Australia. Well done, Jenke.
Dalwood.
Now that's
Jenke.
hero material. 10 seconds. Timekeeper's up. Yes.
Wilson. That's it.
Australia.
Time hasn't been blown. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. Or is it? Confusion reigns. It's Australia's World Championship.
Hasn't